before this, but he was at our table, and also Jimmy Webb. These are all great people. You know, I mean, it was a wonderful time to be on the air because, you know what we did? We would play the songs we liked. Of course, some of us played the songs we got paid to play.
Right. Well, hey, that's the radio of the 50s, right, or 60s, or who knows when other played.
The 60s was my shining year. You know, a lot of people don't know why I quit being on the air as a jock. And, you know, recently a couple of things have come out. Let me tell you this about, you mentioned Frankie Valli. I was watching television the other day for Andre Bocelli's on PBS. And you know, once in a while I'll get snobbish and turn PBS on. And I saw Andre Bocelli was being conducted by Zubin Mehta. And at that time, in the mid-'60s, he was the conductor of the Buffalo Philharmonic. And I had the pleasure of trying to conduct my theme song with Zubin Mehta, which he actually held my hands with the baton. But Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons sang at Carnegie Music Hall, and that was a real tribute in 1966. And I didn't think of that until the other day, and I wrote to Frankie about it. I said, Frankie,
you never know.
Zubin Mehta got very famous. I said, do you realize that he did your theme song, you know, back then? You know, the version you just played now was done by the London Symphony.
Yeah.
So that's a very historical symphony orchestra.
You know, I think it would be one great show to have you and cousin Bruce Morrow on the show together at the same time.
Oh, you know what? I love him. And you know, Brucey's still doing what he always did, and he's getting away with it,
Sure,
you know? I mean, I gave that up a long time ago. I gave up disc jockeying for Lent. But one of the reasons I stopped being a disc jockey was because my ego was so big and we were so famous as personalities, and the Beatles got bigger than us. And then the British invasion, you know, nobody needed us anymore, really.
But really, did you really enjoy being a disc jockey more than a talk show host, or really? No.
I never stopped talking. When I had a talk
Still good
show,
at it,
I kept
right?
saying, why don't you play some music, you know?
But, you know, you always loved to talk, though. I mean, you always had that in you.
Well, because I'm a personality of sorts, you know, I mean, I told everybody I should be a CBS without the C.
You know, you should be on CBS FM. You know that, right?
CBS without the C.
What did you like most about being on WOR, working for Rick Buckley, or with him?
Freedom. I have the most freedom. Nobody ever said anything to me in 14 and a half years. I never got a memo. I never got reprimanded. Nobody ever changed the show or told me what to do. I had a wonderful program director with David Bernstein, and he also hired Joan Rivers. We all were crazy. You know, and Bob Grant came in. You know, I think all of us were just a little bit crazy. But it works.
Was Joe Franklin ever on your show?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Joe, I've been on his show. He tells everybody that he used to listen to me when he was a kid. You know, I mean, come on. Joe is wonderful. You know, these are legendary people. How can you ever ask even a question like that? It's like Gene Shepard, Joe Franklin, those people on WOR. Arlene Francis was there, you know, if you go back that far. And Bob and Ray. I mean, it was just a premier station. It was owned by Howard Hughes, you know. Mm-hmm. And it was, you know, an RKO General station. Very, very rich. Lots of money behind it back in the day.
And it was Joey Reynolds on WNBC.
Well, then NBC was a whole other deal. That was great. I loved the show on NBC because we had a lot of freedom again. And out in the afternoon, I would go out with the Marty unit, which was to broadcast from Rockefeller Center. And there was never anybody from New York or Connecticut or New Jersey. And we're on WNBC, which is the local station. I said, everybody's from Switzerland or Germany. What the hell are we doing out here? You know, the only other thing that was, the reason that people would come to Rockefeller Center was either to light the tree, bring someone to roller skate, or go on Fridays on the Today Show. Nobody from here ever went there. You know, not the locals never came to Rockefeller Center except for those events. They would always go to Times Square.
Well, we have a great show tonight. We have Eddie Brigati on the show from the Rascals.
My cousin.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not cousin Brucey's cousin, my cousin. But I love that. These are great guys. I mean, come on. And, you know, I love the lovely. I was watching Peter, Paul, and Mary the other night. They have a documentary film. and Sid Bernstein.
Oh my! Oh boy! I interviewed him when I worked at Jukebox Radio in Bergen County for the book that he wrote about the Beatles.
Well, look at what he's done. He brought the Beatles here. He managed through he managed Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley with Weinstein. You know, partners with him. So he's had the three major stars and turned down Barbra Streisand. Very interesting guy. But you know, I love him, and he was there for me all the time. He thought I was Mr. New York, and he told me so, and he made me feel like $1 million. But you know, we were such good friends, and I miss him. I miss him. Like Eddie Bugatti and the Rascals. You know, we've all had our ups and downs with each other through the years, but we're all personalities.
And we got his brother Dave Bugatti on the show tonight. Tom Austin from the Royal Teens, Beverly Bremers, Frank Jecko from the 1910 Fruit Gum Company, and Walter Egan, and we have Lillian Walker Moss, Dennis Stefano, Mel Carter, and your buddy Tony Middleton for the holiday show.
Ask Tony about Charlie from the Drifters.
And John Salvato will be in here tonight.
Oh, John's a good friend too. You know, John is an Italian. He tries to hide it by changing his name to Salvato.
Tony Butala.
I got to tell you something else. I
remember when I had Cha-Cha on the show too. That was fun when you were here.
Well, he's great. You know, he was great. He's my good friend.
Yeah.
You know what happened at this time? Years ago when I was on WNBC, we lit the Christmas tree in Times Square, in Rockefeller Center. It was a big event on NBC. And that day I was out with my microphone, and we had my writer, who was at the time Grace Under Fire. She went on to do television. And also the chief writer for Letterman at that time was one of my writers. We wrote Fractured Christmas Carols. And handed them out to the crowd, and got into trouble because when we went outside and had all the NBC paraphernalia, they all, on the NBC television side, thought it was a rehearsal for the Rockefeller lighting of the tree. And they came out to do a rehearsal again with Helen Hayes at the time, and Penn and Teller, and Liberace, and I almost got fired because everybody queued up. Because they thought we were part of this whole ensemble.
Who was the program director that time at WNBC when you were there?
Dale Parsons.
Dale Parsons. I see you. He usually emails me after I have you on the show how much he loved the show. Of course. You see.
He was in, he's in Maui right now. You know, he had all the maniacs. He had Imus, he had Howard Stern. He was a little bit crazy.
Were you friendly with Don Imus?
Yeah, of course. I used to go to the AA meetings with him. What are you talking about? Yeah, I'm friendly. You know, he's a Marine. You know that, right?
What was it like when Don Imus was with Howard Stern in the same room? Did you ever have that experience of being with them together?
Listen, those are rivalries that are legendary. You got two egos. I think Imus was the rooster in the barnyard, and then Howard came in and got popular, and you got two roosters that were fighting for each other, and it doesn't work that way. You can only have one rooster. Everybody else is a hen. You know. Was Kevin
Metheny there at the time?
No, that was Pig Vomit, they call him. No, but, Howard and Imus were very good friends until Howard got famous.
And what happened? Oh, well.
Well, the ego. What are you talking about? You know, same with Soupy Sales, you know. I mean, Soupy was loved and adored by everybody, and as soon as somebody came in and they got on the air and they started making fun of him, he wasn't real happy about that. Mm-hmm. You know, these are all things that happen in an egomaniacal business. You know, I tell everybody, and I'm going to the Broadcast Pioneers meeting at the end of the month in L.A. We have that every year. And I said that LA's not a big city. There's a mirror at one end. We're all sitting there looking at it. That's a great life, you know. You got to know that so much of this is just a performance, and it's like the news. You know, let's be honest about it. You have 600 stations that are on the air on television, and only 10 news stories. Yeah. Now, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to use Hamburger Helper. They're going to start gossiping and making up stories, and you're going to offend somebody because everybody's touchy right now. You know, I mean, we're all very sensitive and touchy because we're all used to to picking on each other and being separated.
And tell me something. How do you think WABC radio would do if they brought back music on the radio station since they have no ratings with talk?
Well, it's over. Come on. I mean, the medium is over. The way to do it now is to have a picture with sound. It's called a phone. It's a new instrument. It's invented by Bell Sound.
Well, that's what everybody's life is on the phone. There's no other place. Yeah, of course.
I don't know why they answer phones on talk shows when everybody texts.
Yeah.
That's a waste of time.
So we're gonna. Yeah, go ahead.
What you're doing right now is you're finding a wonderful, dedicated audience on an AM station that has wonderful call letters. You know, it used to be owned by Cap Cities, who owned WABC. WPAT is Patterson, New Jersey. But you're on a station that's got a great reputation and a pretty good signal. So you're on the air, and you know what? The point is you're on the air. You got people who like you, and they'll listen to you.
And the point is, I get calls from Arkansas, but as you said, you don't have to be on the radio today. Everybody just clicks on, and they know where to find a certain show on your iPhone. And when you have people like Patrick Van Buren, who's going to get the guitar and step up to the microphone and play right now, it's sort of like a spontaneous. I try to emulate